Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Steve Brent. I'm born and bred in Wallaceburg. I worked for CIBC for 35 years, so that took me away from the community for 26 of those years. I worked all over Canada, nationally. I was a branch manager for 18 years, so in those 18 years of being a branch manager, you can well imagine that I helped thousands and thousands of businesses become successful. Started many of them, worked with some of the largest companies in the world, including the largest brewery in the world, the largest restaurant chain in the world, and things like every time you have a Chicken McNugget, maybe that's not a good claim to fame, maybe have a Chicken McNugget, I'm the guy who put the machine in Ontario that built the first one and continues to today. I worked on large projects, Interact, every time you use Interact, I was on the team that launched that. Instant Teller, every time you go to Instant Teller, think of me. So I have been a process expert all my life in 40 years of business practice. The opportunity that I represent for Chatham-Kent as mayor is the ability to lead and build teams and to ensure that we are making profitable decisions and doing the right thing with taxpayers' money. I looked at becoming a mayor over the last 8 years. I just got tired of the reckless spending, the lack of duty with respect to ensuring the voices of the people are represented. I know for sure that a town hall like this hasn't occurred very often, if at all, since the last time I really heard about it was 2002 by Frank Verkruder. And so how can we represent the voice of the people unless we have a town hall like this and bring in your wishes into the community? I represent the opportunity to become transparent and accountable. I will ensure, as I lead council through the next 4 years and possibly beyond, that we will represent the voice of people. We'll make judicious decisions and make sure that we are investing your money properly, and so that we'll create an environment for tax favorableness and less consultants, less travel, all the rest of it. I will definitely bring that to Chatham-Kent. Thank you.
We have an aging demographic coming from outside of Chatham-Kent. A lot of retirement is going to be happening in the next 10 years or so. How can Chatham-Kent put themselves on the stage to be one of the places that these people will want to go?
Chatham-Kent does have a ton of great things happening here, a ton of great businesses, a ton of great manufacturing, processing, not enough. However, what we don't do, we don't parade the great things that we do here in Chatham-Kent well enough. Our tourism is fractured. That's probably a compliment. We need to bring it together in a solid voice of 23 communities speaking together to ensure that the world knows how great it is here in Chatham-Kent. We all have that responsibility, not just council, not just the mayor, not just administration. It is everybody in this room, and everybody of the 103,000 plus people in Chatham-Kent have the responsibility to do that. As mayor, I'm a leader, I'm a team builder, and we'll be able to create the synergies to have that accomplished in a very short period of time. I was with a businessman, a huge agricultural businessman, not even an hour and a half ago, and talking about how fractured the support of agri-tourism is here in Chatham-Kent alone. And he's willing to come on board to have a very strong voice in the community, bigger than he has right now, and represent the needs of that community. While that's one person, we need 103,000 plus more of them. I know that we will have the ability to do that. I have the capability of bringing you all together and having that great voice to ensure that the world knows how great Chatham-Kent is and how that they should be coming here in droves. When that happens, what happens? It creates new assessments, right? Saves taxes. Thank you. Good question.
What do you consider is your strongest skill set? What are you bringing to just one skill set? What's your strongest skill set? And what is your weakest skill set, and what are you doing about it?
That was a very good question. My strongest skills, I believe, are leadership and organizational effectiveness. I don't think I've ever missed a birthday or anniversary, and I've ran jobs that and asked for 100 hours of my life every week. I celebrate that. I'm driven. I've organized 22,000 people across the network of CIBC. Been there, done that. T-shirt's been washed and it's faded. Very excited about the opportunity to be able to do that. From a weakness, or maybe a skill that I'm not really great at, perhaps, I don't really react well to no or can't. If I hear Chatham-Kent one more time, I'm going to go running, screaming out of the building. I really have a challenge with that when I hear that in council, when I hear it on the street, when I hear it from the people of Chatham-Kent. The fact that the negativity, it just arouses me in crazy ways that it's upsetting. And in the papers, on social media, That's disturbing to me. We all have a role to play in turning that around. I believe I have the leadership and organizational effectiveness capabilities of helping you understand that positivity will gain great results for Chatham-Kent and will spell extremely large dividends for us all going forward. That's my commitment to you as well. Thank you.
How can you justify to the taxpayers of Ward 3 building a twin pad arena in Chatham?
We had the opportunity to have a twin pad arena, and they compared the twin pad arena or the Bradley Center, and the municipality, council, and mayor decided to do the Bradley Center instead. It was part of the consultant study. Here we are, consultants again. No, we can't afford it currently, a twin pad arena. Yeah, everybody wants it. It's a great idea. I'd say one out of half the people that I talk to at the door, they say, "Where do you stand on twin pad arena? We want it." And the other half of them say, I don't believe that my vote is going to do anything, or I don't know who to vote for. But the twin pad arena, I would say 1 out of 3 times I hear the twin pad arena. Yes, it's a great thing. I don't believe we have to close any arenas when we do that as well. If it does go in Chatham, we have a windfall, provincial, federal money, or private enterprise or corporations. We put it in Chatham. I can see that. Put it against the 401 perhaps. We need some presence up there. Ian said that. Northside Arena stays open. It becomes a historical building, and we put minor sports in there, put minor hockey in there. So there's no reason to tear down any arenas, libraries, or anything like that. Currently, we don't have the money for it. It's certainly a dream. It's a wish. I believe it can be achievable. I think anything with a good process can be fixed. We're going to find the money. We're going to have to find the steam within the communities of Chatham-Kent to build business, create new assessments, and live the life that we deserve. I say live the life we've been dreaming about and hoping for in Chatham-Kent without breaking the bank. And that's what I stand for. Thank you.
Expand what you mean by fractured and what you think needs to be done to get tourism back as the driver it really is.
I said fractured or inexistent in Chatham-Kent. And I hear this from the people. I do represent the voice of the people. I ask a lot of questions. I'm a banker. I investigate before I invest. And what they're saying is that so many companies was a driving force of why I decided to become mayor of Chatham-Kent and say we're not getting the support, direction, and enablement by the municipality to promote our business, to grow our business, to expand our business. And that falls, in my opinion, greatly on tourism. They currently assigned Bob Crawford, great guy, a great fire chief. I'm not quite sure why he's in charge of tourism. I have sat down. I interviewed most of the leaders and managers of the city. They say, well, very few councillors or mayor candidates have called us, let alone grilled us for 3 hours. So I've really investigated this. And yes, Bob's a great guy. However, you need to bring the community of Chatham-Kent together. He did one great thing. I really appreciated what Bob said during our meetings, that he brought some tourism leaders. So you're talking about the Shannon Princes, it goes on, all those people, the North Bucks Arena Museum, and all the people in, not probably all, maybe I wish we could bring all, but he had a great selection of people that represent tourist opportunities in Chatham-Kent. And he wanted to find out what it took to have that collective effort to bring it together to promote Chatham-Kent. And that's a great start. That's a small start, but we need to do that broad-based right across the Chatham-Kent communities, all 23 communities, and bring them together. I believe I'm the leader that will enable that and give Bob the tools, if he's the one that's going to be leading the charge, to ensure that we do that, do it right. I've worked with Toronto Tourism Board for decades, and to see how they do things is remarkably different than how we try to do things in Chatham-Kent. I bring that skill and capability of seeing how the world has been brought to the markets in countries around the world. I've worked with them with so many, and those skills I will bring to Chatham-Kent to make sure that we know how to promote ourselves properly and have a tourism that's going to be, that others will envy, and as well as envy Chatham-Kent being a great place to live and work. Thank you. And it's the challenge is equal representation of rural and urban. Sorry. I am a ferocious note taker. I'm a great believer in he who has notes wins. And I go through a book about every, I'm not sure, maybe 25 days. And here's a pie chart that shows a mix of urban and rural, which has a piece of Chatham in each of the 5, 6, or 7 wards. Again, it has to be studied. However, I do believe sincerely that we can reduce the number of councillors, but what we need to do is create the mix of agricultural, rural, urban, and ensure that the synergies are created between the two, so that the councillors in the current rural area understand what it takes to do business in the urban areas and have a greater meeting of the minds. I really am challenged to believe that we truly understand our constituents and what your needs, wants, and desires are, again, if we're not having these town halls. We have to do a lot of the town halls before we get to a decision like that, and believe me, a decision like that will not be made lightly. It can't be made till 2018 anyway. It's certainly the work to get us to the point where we're at 5, 6, or 7 wards will occur over the next 4 years. And it'll be the voice of the people to speak, how do you want to be represented? The strong opinion would be that we have a rural and urban mix that's balanced so that we create the synergies between the two and have better representation, better voice, and we're doing the right thing for everybody. Okay, thank you.
Given that we're going to have a new council, possibly new mayor, I understand that there's been about 4 nights set aside to review your budget of $350 million plus. Do you feel this is adequate time, and would you support a line-by-line review?
Well, I've reviewed billion-dollar budget, so, and in the budget, if anyone has not seen it, is like this. So 4 days, yeah, I've been there, done that. I can go through it in 4 days. I can do a line-by-line budget review in 4 days. I can probably do it in a day. Council is challenged. Let's just take a look at the infrastructure budget. I'm not sure exactly how many pages, probably around 115, 120 pages. Council gets that on Thursday or Friday, any recommendations that they make to council, and they got to get through all that 115 pages just to understand what Tom Kelly's trying to say and what administration is proposing that would be a change that could affect taxpayer dollars. So when I saw that, I sat down with Don Shropshire, and I went in for an hour meeting, and we were so engaged in our conversation, going through line by line a lot of the budget. 3.5 hours later, we were still talking. So when I got to Tom Kelly and the infrastructure, again, that's one of the biggest areas where I think we need improvement. I said to Tom, I said, I've been through your 115 pages, I understand it, but how can you think that council that don't have the financial background that I do can get through that and understand they're making the proper decisions with the taxpayer dollars in the best interest? So I said to Tom, you got to do something better. I had Tom, he said, well, let me think about that, I'll get back to you. He came up with a one-page document representing the total infrastructure budget. I highlighted a few things, saved a ton of money just by looking at this one document. That's the kind of stuff that we need to do with council. That's the kind of duty that we have as managers within the municipality to make it easy on council to help them make decisions in, bearing in mind the proper amount of data. Going through 115 pages of budget, I can do it. I speed read, I understand financials. But council, maybe they don't have the same business or financial background that I have. This is the capability we have today in our CK administration. It's not being leveraged, it's not being, we're not leading enough to get this out of our managers in the municipality. I can do this. Thank you.
Well, being a real estate agent, I find that our taxes really influence the use, being able to buy houses. Yes, we have some of the lower priced houses, but we have some of the highest taxes. I spend a lot of time showing people around, they find a house they like, then they ask the question, what's the taxes? You know, and then they end up jumping ship to Algon because they can get something for the same price with a lot less taxes. And it's a huge issue with people that are looking at properties in this area, moving to this area. So I wanted to ask the mayor candidates, where is your stance on increasing, decreases our taxes? Because it's really hurting from the real estate.
Great question. There is a way to hold the line on taxes. I currently sold my house because the taxes are so high. I'm paying $6,200 a year in my taxes. I went to half the house, and I would suspect that my taxes should be half to more than half. I came from Oakville from a double the size house, paying more taxes for half the size house when I first moved to Chatham and built my house. But again, I had a very compelling argument. My wife's been in real estate for 26 years, so I live and breathe this for the first part of my life. And I've written a couple books within CIBC about real estate. I really do understand that We have the ability to reduce taxes as well because we have a surplus budget anywhere from $70 to $100 million. And I would like to be able to put that back into savings tax dollars. But just by leaning out the processes, we'll be able to we'll have the ability to save money on taxes and virtually guarantee a zero tax base for at least a couple of years, probably for the entire administration that I'll be running as well. Thank you. Thank you to the organizers again for putting the evening together, and thank you all for taking the time to come out and show the interest in the municipal governing process. I just want to show of hands who thinks that taxes have negatively been impacted by the investment decisions of this council and this mayor over the last 8 years, which might include a list not inclusive of everything, but just the things that Jeff mentioned and a few others, the sewage treatment plant, the water treatment plant, the Bradley Center, the Capitol Theater, industrial parks and overruns in local parks. Who thinks that taxes might have been negatively impacted because of poor investments? So pretty much most of the room. Council and the leadership shown by the mayor is totally responsible for they have the fiduciary duty, it's late, it's been a long day, of wisely investing your money. That prowess has not been demonstrated by current administration and by anyone on council for the last 8 years. I'm not the leader or the mayor that has a basic look at how to fix Chatham-Kent. It's going to take more than going back to the basics to get this job done. It takes involvement by all the community and having the voice of the people represented. My transparency and accountability program will do that, and I will assure you that it happens. I'm not the mayor that's been in council for 8 years. I mean, been part of the problem as well, and perhaps has had a Chatham-centric view and not a Chatham-Kent-centric view, which we need to have. I'm not the mayor that's going to give you a Reno vacation. I'd like to have one too. However, I will give you a fiscally responsible municipality that we will be living the dream and have a very organized community of 23 different communities of Chatham-Kent that are working together and prospering together. I'm not the manager, maybe have the mechanical background of Mr. McClarty. However, I have a scientific mind that can take a look at the infrastructure and understand the architect and the consultant's reports. I'm not a manager that will bully their way, hurdle the weak and trample the dead to get the job done, and level management by firing everybody. I'm known for hiring people and making sure that the people are inspired to do the right job and do the right thing with the right tools and the right capabilities and training and learning to get the job done and your job done. I'm not quite sure what John's platform is. I know he doesn't like double Patarinas, but that's about it. Randy, with current Mayor Hope, the A+ rating, the number one thing why we didn't get a better rating was a lack of budget process. I will guarantee you we'll have great processes that will save us all money and reduce taxes. The overspending has to stop. If anybody saw the outcome, if you go on stevebrent.ca, you'll see Steve Brent stands for a government that stops the spending spree. Thank you very much.